we are on the line with David Sugalski. Did I say that right, David?
That is correct.
And what's your pseudo name?
The Polish ambassador.
That's right, the Polish ambassador. And it's great to talk to you. Sorry about the hassle. We've been trying to reach you for a long time, and we had the wrong number, so now we're all good. But anyway, congratulations on getting LIB. That's fantastic. That's actually about an hour away from us, and Scott's
That's a really awesome festival.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to it, David?
No, I've not. That's been on the festival wish list for a couple of years now, so I'm super stoked to be a part of it.
Sweet. Awesome.
How long has LIB been running, Scott?
I'm not sure, but I just went for the first time last year.
Yeah, and it's actually changed now to Temecula, because it used to be up the street from us, about maybe 20 minutes from the studio. Now it's in Temecula, which is about an hour away, which is just a beautiful lake. I haven't been down there, but I've been looking at the pictures. It looks like fantastic. And looking at, doing some research about you, David, we'll just call you Polish. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
All right. Did you know that on Google, you've got like 14 million results? Did you know that?
I know, and it's funny when you go to Google and you look at the first 10 pages on Google, and they're all related to this musical project. There's not a single reference to an actual Polish ambassador, which
I know, isn't that the truth? Yeah, I think there's one on page 3 or something, but when I'm doing my research, I'm like, I don't have that much time to research the 14 million results. But also YouTube, there's 28,000 results for you on YouTube. Did you know that too?
I didn't know that one.
That's a real good one. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, do you guys have a marketing company? Do you do it yourself? Is it all in-house? Do you hire someone? How does that work?
No, I do it all myself. It's been something that I've had fun with. For me, the marketing, just with the music, there's a huge aspect of creativity to that, and it's with so much music coming out these days, and with the barriers to getting into the electronic music scene being virtually nothing more than owning your own computer, I think that it's really important to strategize really creative, thought-provoking ways to get your message and get your music out there.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have a degree in marketing, correct?
I do. I have a degree, and oftentimes people cite that in interviews and questions, regarding why maybe I have a leg up in the marketing world. But I look back on that degree, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't learn anything
really
about marketing. Yeah, so. I'm not out to slam my university, because a lot of people did learn stuff. Like many college students, my focus was not what I was actually studying. It was hitting the scene, and just trying to mac on ladies and failing miserably. And
But you know what?
Interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's what I like about you, though, is because a lot of DJ artists, producers, you can just tell by their posts on Facebook and stuff that it's not even them. It could be an assistant of some kind that's just, here's my dates, buy this, buy that. But I can actually tell that you are posting on Facebook. You're actually doing the work, which is great, because I think it helps with the fans to get that one-on-one interaction with you.
Totally.
Yeah,
I think that that's a big part of this project, and it has been for day one. Not only connecting with fans through just unique opportunities in the social networking sphere, but then also just at shows. Every show, when I'm finished, I go down and I hang out for 20 minutes to 45 minutes and just talk with these people that are basically supporting me to be able to do what I love, and it feels like the right call, and I don't know that I would be able to do it any other way.
Right. No, that's what I like about you, and I'm sure Scott's going to be down there after your show to say hi and introduce himself.
Yeah, I'd love to meet you, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, the festivals are a little more challenging, because there's so many people, but if there's a way to get down there and hang out, I'll totally try. But normally at the shows, because the festivals, it's kind of I end and then someone else comes on right away, and there's not really the room. But at our own personal shows, it's our show. So once we're done, the show's over.
Yes. Definitely. So how's the tour going anyway? How many dates do you have left?
Just in festival season?
Yes.
I don't know. That's a question for my manager. But
yeah, you've got lightning in a I think you got lightning in a bottle. Northern Lights, and what's the other one? What the festival?
What the festival? And I'm playing a small family style festival this weekend called Priceless up around my neck of the woods in.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Northern Cali.
What's the biggest festival you've done to date?
I think it was actually last weekend. It was Electric Forest.
Oh yeah, I saw the pictures, man. That's a hell of a crowd you had out there.
Oh wow, it was amazing. It was it sort of blew my mind. It was really fascinating to have the act before us, not as a discredit to them, but more just as a reference point. There weren't that many people at the set.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
they were very, very known. And then as soon as we got on, it just flooded, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, a
What
lot
did
of
you
people are
feel?
finding out about this project right now.
What did you
know?
feel when that was happening? Were you like tingling all over, or what happened?
I think that there were some moments, and it's like, you get those moments where you get the chills, and you're like, wow, I'm super just in alignment with what I'm doing in life, and like it feels really good, and I can see in this sea of people, this flood of people out there, like all this positive energy beaming back at me, and then I take that in and then sort of send it back out. So it's like this constant feedback loop of sending out good vibes and taking them in, and it's just kind of this euphoric cyclone of, just happiness. It's an indescribable feeling. I mean, I did my best right there, but
a good explanation. So at these festivals, you're obviously, do you see any of your mentors? I mean, are there anyone that you really like to go and check out their sets?
See, at Electric Forest, I love, like, the thing is, I didn't grow up in the whole jam culture, but like now I've been sort of inserted into it with a lot of these festivals, and I really love String Cheese. It's mainly about like the people that they assemble together. It's like, I think you can tell a lot about a musician or a band by the people that are coming together to support that band. And like, when I sort of look at the String Cheese, and I played a couple of their, big festival sort of things, and like the people that come together for that, they're just really weird, interesting people. And like for me, that just makes me super stoked to be in that crowd. Like people I look around and they have like, they look like a wizard, or he's got like a cape on, or he's got there's crazy masks, or people on stilts. They're bringing a lot of artists to support their musical performance, essentially. So it feels like you're in like this circus, but you're actually in the crowd.
Yeah, and then so lightning in a bottle is right up your alley, because that's everything that you just described is lightning in a bottle.
Totally. Yeah, I played like my last 3 shows in LA have all been with the Do Lab, so I'm pretty familiar with like the type of people that come out to that. It's it's really cool. It's like a festival for artists, really.
Yeah.
It's like, I meet a lot of those people in the crowd, and I know a lot of them are my friends, and they're like working dancers, or they're working painters, or they're working like, seamstresses. They're making awesome clothes. So it's like you're bringing together in some of these more transformational festivals, a really cool artist crowd, or a very artistic crowd, who are actually working professionals in, the art scene at large.
Yeah. So you've actually mentioned when you're traveling to the festivals, are you guys still traveling in the RV?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like the RV, we love it. We love being on the road and having, that tight knit threesome that we are when we're on the road, which is my manager and then Ari, the visualist for the project. He goes by the name Luminous. The one thing with the RV that's happening right now is like it's actually a pretty big money suck because it's kind of old.
Yeah.
It's like a 97 or something. So there's a lot of maintenance that has to happen, and we're kind of evaluating. We're in a place of evaluation right now whether it makes sense to move forward with it or look at other options like, a van or another RV or a bus or what have you.
Hey, tell me the story about the guy that tried to steal it that time.
Oh, dude, that was amazing. Like, so we just get finished playing this sellout crowd in Denver, and, we're also zonked and tired because we've been on the road, nonstop. So we get done with the show, give high fives to the fans, go out to the RV, and we're just cashed. We're out. We're asleep. And we forget to lock the door. And I think that, sometimes when we're on the road, we're like, we're a little bit, easy about that because we're in the RV, Joshua's sleeping right in the cab above the RV, and like I'm in the back and Ari's in the back. It's like you have 3 people in the RV. Who the hell's going to come in and mess with you? Lo and behold, we wake up to the RV starting or trying to start. And the thing about the RV that we all know as people that use the RV, like going back to that maintenance thing that I was telling you about, like there's actually a trick to starting the RV. And if you don't know it, you're just going to turn the key and the RV is just going to rev and nothing's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
So like we all look up and we're like, Ari thought it was me. He was like, David, you idiot, what are you doing? You know to do this thing. And then so he looked up and he and I look at each other because he's right in the bunk below me, and we just look at each other and we're like, what the fuck? And then Ari he slowly gets up out of his bed and walks up to him, and the guy's still sitting there trying to start the RV. And Ari like kneels down right next to him and taps him on the shoulder. And he's like, hey man, are you trying to steal our RV? There's this awesome awkward silence that happens. And the guy looks at Ari like blankly for about 5 seconds and then says, no, I'm not trying to steal your RV.
Just taking it for a test drive. Was a guy a bit of a stoner, was he?
Yeah, he was a little bit strung out according to Ari. But then, I think another awkward silence happened, and then the
Right.
guy just, very pleasantly removed himself from the RV and kept on down the street.
Well, that's one of those
He was having a good
memorable
laugh.
moments when you're touring. That's so cool.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it was good.
What time did that happen at?
It was early morning, probably like 6 a.m., 6 or 7 a.m.
Wow, man. People are boosting RVs early.
I know.
On top of your tour, you're doing a carbon neutral tour. Now,
Yeah.
what does that entail?
We're trying to expand on that as much as we can. Like, we're basically, like, any miles that we have done, we give money back to a certain organization. I forget who it is, but Joshua, the manager knows that. Putting money back into communities, putting money into green energy, all sorts of stuff like that, to basically make it so we don't, our consciousness is kind of free of like, oh, we're taking away from the earth. So instead we're kind of giving back.
Very cool.
Yeah,
at
that's a
least
great idea.
offsetting.
Have you thought
Yeah.
about converting the RV to maybe to run on like biodiesel or vegetable oil?
I have, yeah. We've talked about that a lot, and I've actually gone and talked with a few people that have done that, and the main advice that they give is that to not do it. If you're going to be, it's like the advice that as far as I've understood is kind of like if you're going to be touring leisurely, then it's okay, but if you're touring and you need to get to places at a certain time,
Yeah.
then it's going to totally screw you over because not everybody can give it to you. And so, sometimes you can be out in the middle of Kansas
Right.
and you're not going to find a place that's going to be able to give it to you. And
Yeah.
you're going to have to, if you do find a place, it's going to be 2 hours out of the way. And, you need to be in Denver at 6, and that means you're going to, miss sound check. So it's kind of like when you're doing a tour that has lots of deadlines, it's like, I don't think it's the wisest thing. I think they're, doing something like the carbon neutral offsetting, that feels like a smarter decision when you're really regimented by time.
Let's talk about your music, your show and stuff. Tell us about your relationship with, is it Liminus? How do you say it?
Liminus.
Liminus.
Liminus is his name.
Yeah, because, when I've been to festivals and shows, most of the visual designers, they're usually in the back of the show, running the show from, say the soundboard or something. You actually had him on stage. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, one of the first big shows that we had was down with the Do Lab in LA. The first shows that we had together, at least. I had been doing my own thing before he and I linked up, and we were like, okay, how do we do this? And I set up my stage like I did typically, and Ari set up stuff sort of like you said, like off to the side or in the back doing his thing. And very quickly I was just like, no, man, I want you up here with me. I want to rock out with you.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he was feeling the same thing. He was like, yeah, it feels a little awkward for me to be back here. And like, especially when, he and I do things pretty synergistically. Like he's actually following very much the groove that's happening. And he can look over at my computer and kind of see what's going on in my set and make adjustments, just based on visual cues that he's having himself.
Yeah, so he's creating on the fly also then, right?
Totally. Yeah, so we're both, it's kind of an audio visual on the fly creation. So yeah, it's really good to have him up there just from a technical perspective, but then also from I want to rock out with my buddy perspective.
Yeah.
I want to be hanging out, and I want to feed off his vibe, and he wants to feed off my vibe. So
yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
yeah.
And do you get lots of feedback on the visual contribution from him, from your fans?
Yeah, it's getting better and better because basically Ari he's an amazing artist. He started off just in more static painterly side of art. And he had been a friend for a while, and I was kind of like, hey, man, there's an opportunity here. Do you want to learn DJ software and learn, like, take your art to a more, mobile
pushing the
realm
boundaries
instead of the static art? Thing is, Ari's like, he's super smart and he's super motivated, and he's only been doing this a year. And
Wow.
he's like killing it, doing so good right now. And like my feeling is he's already at a professional grade. Like, where's this guy going to be at in like a couple years once he's like super dialed,
Yeah, you might want to get him locked in or you're going to lose him real fast.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. There's like, he and I have discussions right now. If he gets a big offer from a festival to like go do visuals or from like a big artist,
Yeah.
totally. I think you should do that.
That's
I don't
cool,
want to
man.
be
That's
the guy
cool.
that says, you can't do that.
Yeah, definitely. What type of equipment and software does he use to project the visuals?
We have a pretty high-powered projector. I'm not sure of the variety, but his software is called VDMX. So he uses that, and he does a lot of Quartz Composer patches, which is like a native software that's built into every Mac machine. And then he has like a few other little pieces to his tool set, but that's the main deal.
Cool. Now let's talk about Jumpsuit Records.
Yeah.
Let's get into it, man.
Your new record label, correct?
Yeah, it's my newly created record label.
And how many artists do you have on there right now?
Well, including myself, there's four in a roundabout sort of way. So there's me, the Polish ambassador. There's my side project with a woman named Ayla Nerio, and our side project is called Wildlight. So we're putting out our first album in a couple weeks.
Cool.
And then Ayla actually is planning to release her next solo album with us as well. So that makes three. And then Saki, who's a friend of mine, who's making this really good, like 100 to 105 BPM, like 4 on the floor dance music.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
So that's the foursome right now. And then of course Ari as well. I consider him a part of it, even though he's not really doing the music side of things. But but yeah, that's it. And it's the thing is, we just started, so it's like there's going to be more to come in the next year. It should be a more of a fully fleshed out roster.
Now let's talk about your albums. You have 11 albums since 2007. Am I correct? So it's like 11 albums and almost 30 remixes. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
And it's name your price, right? You don't sell it. It's a donation on your website. You can go to your website. People can download one track or every track you've ever produced, and it's all by donation. I don't want to say free, even though if you can't afford it, you can take it for free, but at least the minimal donation is asked for. I think that's an amazing idea. I mean, some people have tried doing it before with single albums, but not their entire catalog of work. I mean, do you find that this is attracting more fans as the word gets out? I mean, have you been doing this since the release of your first album, Diplomatic Immunity, in 2007?
No, I haven't. It's something I just started maybe about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
I think it's part of a strategy for me. Like, it feels smart to do it once you can get the word out in a mass sort of way. Like, a lot of times early on in an artist's career, they're actually relying on that money as income to like pay their bills.
Exactly.
And for me, like, once I got to the place where like, the album sales did not really amount to, I mean, they were okay, but the big money chunk was coming from being on the road and just playing shows, So like once you become a more established artist and you're routing these 30, 40 city tours, then it's like, the money you're making off of albums is kind of peanuts.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's more of a marketing plan now that I'm more established. It's like, how can we really blow this operation up? And, when I'm out there playing Electric Forest and at the end of my set, everybody's just been like, wow, this is an amazing set. And then all of a sudden I get on the mic and I say, hey guys, thank you so much for being here. All the music you just heard was original or original remix, and I give it all away for free. That's 10,000 people that like all of a sudden are going to be like, wow, I'm going to go check this out. So it feels like a really smart thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I believe I first discovered you from an email that I actually got with a link to your free album. And I had actually never heard of you before. And, as a DJ, I'm always attracted by free music. So I saw the link and I couldn't believe that you were giving the whole thing away for free. Obviously, I made a donation, but that's awesome. You don't get a lot of revenue, obviously, through the sales then. What other revenue do you get? Do you have like a line of T-shirts, jumpsuits? What?
Yeah, we actually are creating jumpsuits right now.
No way, really?
I told you, Steve. I told you.
Scott was saying you should do that because we were thinking, if you wear that one jumpsuit night after night, that's got to be pretty mingy.
I do wear it night after night. And like, when you're doing that 3-4 show run on a weekend and you don't have a shower, it gets a little stinky. Ladies don't really want to come up and hug me after the show as much.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. So you've got some jumpsuits in production. That'll be funny to see if they actually sell, because I'm sure you got those fans that will be there in the audience wearing their jumpsuits. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, we're doing an initial run of about 100 jumpsuits, and like, I'm pretty sure we have 100 super fans that like.
Oh,
we
I'm
get
sure
bugged
too.
About it all the time.
Hey,
so
they'll be collector's pieces, man. They'll be collector's pieces.
There's no question in my mind that like I'm going to look out into the crowd and I'm going to start seeing those jumpsuits.
No, that's cool. So one of my favorite tracks of yours is "Invisible Frontiers" from the new Ecozoic album, right? Did I say that right?
It's called Ecozoic.
Ecozoic. Well, I'm from England, so I say it my own way. People think I'm saying it right. So anyway, but but what I'm really into is I really like your remixes. You got like 30 remixes, and what I like about it is the way that you almost change the original track into almost like a brand new track. Most remixes are, say, versions of the original, but take for instance your Peter Gabriel mix of "In Your Eye." I love that track. I mean, how long did it take you to create that remix, and how long does it take you usually for a remix in general?
That remix that I made a couple years ago, so it's hard to really remember, but I can give you more of a ballpark. Like when I'm really in my flow making music, it takes me about a day to make a music, like, an 8-hour session. And that's just because, I've been doing this for a while, and I have all my tools, and it's very clear to me how to piece something together.
Very organized. You have all your samples.
5 or 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, something like that would take me more like a week, but now it's like I can hammer it out really fast.
What type of experience do you have with like the DAW that you use, and did you go to school for music production or music theory or anything like that?
No, I actually, I went to school for that marketing degree, and everything musical was all just a hobby. It was all just watching YouTube videos, like lingering on forums, like audio production forums, and it was mainly, there was a lot of isolation that happened in my life where it was like, I'm not happy with what I'm doing in studying marketing, so I want to basically isolate and get as good as I can at this one thing, because in my mind, I didn't really have, I didn't have the framework in growing up with, in the culture that I grew up with, that I could actually be an artist full time. Like I was groomed to be, in marketing or be like a lawyer or be,
exactly. Yeah. I was
doctor.
the same
That's
way.
So it's like, I didn't have the notion until maybe, I don't know, like 2005, like before I even put my first album out, like a year before that, I was like, oh, wow, there's people actually making a living off of electronic music. Maybe if I work really hard, I could be one of those people. So that,
And look at you now, dude. Look at you now.
It was a bit challenging to like sort of adjust that internal framework. But yeah, here I am, and it's working out. So.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. One thing I just wanted to ask on top of that is, once you hit a plateau on doing your own research, like YouTube and like forums and stuff like that, and just tinkering with the software and the interface, what's the next step after that? Is it like going to a recording studio, or is it pushing your music out there on Beatport or Juno or just SoundCloud?
Do you mean like just as far as like up and coming artists, like when people are kind of like, wow, I'm making music and it's not being heard the way I want it to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because like I produce music too, and it's not at that level of professional grade. So I hit a plateau, and now I'm just seeing other outlets where I can go and get that sound mastered.
From a perspective of mastering, the mastering is only going to be as good as the actual mixes. So it's like a mastering engineer, especially in electronic music, is not going to be the guy that makes or breaks your record, because that's kind of, a lot of times, like there's been poorly recorded stuff, in the past as far as bands go, and the mastering engineer can really, really help, but that's when you're working with like 4 pieces and like really wild instrumentation and like a lot more dynamics. With electronic music, there's a lot less dynamics happening. Like there's a lot of compression used in the mixes, and things are pretty standardized. So as far as getting a sound better, it's like I would research mixing. I would research, how to get your sound as big as it can be before you even think about mastering, and like I didn't even pay for mastering for my first 3 albums. I just kind of did it all myself,
Yeah, I love the internet for that, because if you have any questions, there's always somebody out there that has the answer. And if you do your due diligence, and if you are really into what you want to do, be it being a DJ, being a chef, whatever, you have to put the work in it. And like you said, if it's going to be late nights, early mornings sometimes, but if that's what you really want to do, that's going to be your life's calling. It's so much worth doing it,
Absolutely. Yeah, it feels a lot less like, pardon me, drinking a little smoothie. It feels a lot less like work when you're in alignment with your passion. It's more like, oh wow, I'm fascinated. It's like fascination. It's not, you don't look at it as work anymore. You're just like, how deep can I take this fascination? How much can I learn from this art that inspires me so much?
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's great, because we've got actually a lot of amateur producers that listen to this show. So that's great advice.
Cool.
Yeah, so we appreciate it. So I think we're about almost done. I mean, do you have anything that you might want to mention to the listeners?
So you can follow me on my website, www.thepolishambassador.com, and there's links there where to get all of the music at Name Your Price. And then, the Facebook, SoundCloud handles are just the Polish ambassador.
Right.
So that it should come right up when you do that. The Polish ambassador is too long for Twitter to handle, so it's Polish_ambass.
Oh, okay. Okay.
David, I have one more question.
Yeah.
So we have original tracks. How do you distribute that so you get attention? And is there any like good websites out there for tracking who buys tickets to your concerts and stuff like that? Like Polestar.com or...
Yeah, Polestar is one. I think that like Polestar is really for when you get really big. I don't know, because the thing is Polestar only works with certain venues. It's like it's tied in with like Live Nation and
House of
and
Blues.
AEG. So like
Yeah.
once you get to those more corporate entity style production operations that own multiple venues, that's kind of when Polestar becomes more in play. There's not really there's not really a way for like the small business person, like the small musician, to really track that. I mean, you obviously know how many people have come out as an artist to your shows. So
Yeah.
are you doing you're doing some music these days? You're performing and trying to find people?
I'm not musically inclined. I can beat matches about it, but Scott's into his production, a little bit.
But I haven't performed any of my music live, though. I've played some of my original tracks in a DJ set, but nothing live.
Yeah, it takes time. Like, I've been doing this since high school. That's when I first got my first samplers and everything. And then in college, it became a little bit more of a hobby. But I graduated college in 2003, so it's almost a decade.
Yeah, cool. All right, Dave, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, guys, have a great day. I look forward to catching you at LIB.
You too,
cheers.
man.
Bye.
Okay, bye.